Welcome to Movie Castle. I'm your host Cooper, and maybe you heard, but this weekend is the 4th of July, America's 250th birthday, a country that's never done anything wrong. Definitely not. A very cool place to be right now. And we're going to celebrate that with a tier list. I have gathered the best and brightest of the 4th of July movies, movies adjacent to American propaganda, things in that realm. So I've gathered 10 movies here, some of them action, some of them horror, some of them dramas. We're just going to plug them into the old tier list machine and see how they stack up. I will admit, when creating this list, I found that there are actually a lot of 4th of July movies I haven't seen that should probably be here, but I just haven't seen Born on the 4th of July or any of those other very patriotic movies. But regardless, I think I have created a good range of films here for us to discuss and talk about and see how they stack up. So we're just going to start right off with The Sandlot. Now, this is a movie I've only seen once, and it was a really long time ago, but I do remember it pretty well, and that's a good thing. If I can remember your movie that I saw as a kid, that's a good thing. So I think The Sandlot's going to go in the middle here. I do have a lot of personal favorites on this list, movies that do genuinely mean a lot to me. But that said, this is a cute movie. I could see it maybe going down just because, again, I don't have a huge connection to it. But this is filmed locally for the pod and is just generally, I think, a pretty charming coming of age movie. So I feel comfortable just kind of putting it in the middle here. We'll see how it stacks up later on. Let's do Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, I don't remember if there's a 4th of July scene in this, but this is Captain America, and this movie is probably the biggest celebration of America. I think I'll put it above Sandlot. I have seen this, I think, fairly recently within the past couple of years. It's all right. I do think it might be the weakest of the Captain America trilogy, but it's I think a pretty charming early MCU movie. I like Chris Evans in it. I like Sebastian Stan in it. It's overall pretty solid. It's got some pacing issues in the second act, but I generally think that this movie is decent. It's decent. It's definitely not a go-to MCU movie by any means, but also I would much rather throw it on over most things that they do these days. We're going to do the first Top Gun. Now, I'm going to be completely straight about it with you guys. I'm not a huge fan of this movie. I have rewatched it fairly recently. I've seen this movie a few times, and it's never really done much for me. There's definitely things I appreciate about it. It's cool, I guess, but again, it's not something that really moves me or makes me feel anything. It's just kind of I guess a cool movie that you could throw on a Saturday afternoon or something and have a good time with. But again, it's just not quite my speed. But Maverick, though, I do really like, and I'm gonna put up here. And I don't know, maybe this is being a younger person, having seen Maverick in theaters and having not seen the original Top Gun and not being there for that phenomenon when it came out. It was such a moment in 2022 and was such a special thing when it came out, that we could have this movie be such a huge hit and have people really kind of go back to the movies for this one, And that was exciting. And this movie does rock, and it's a lot of fun. It's got a great cast of young people, and Tom Cruise is very good in it. Connolly's pretty good too. The action's solid and is continuing to push what Tom Cruise does and Joseph Krasinski and all that stuff. I feel very comfortable putting this pretty high on the list. I think this has actually become a little underrated in the grand scheme of the decade. Maybe not in terms of mainstream culture, but I think that a lot of cinephiles have kind of maybe forgotten about this movie, but this is the best you can get with the sort of dad movies that have come out this decade is Top Gun Maverick, and I feel comfortable putting this here for now. All right, we're gonna do I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, I've seen this twice, I want to say, and I don't really care for it that much. I think it's a year after Scream, and just feels a little too much like Scream for me to fully appreciate it. I think if Scream wasn't as good as it is, or just didn't exist, I would like this more. But this is a movie that is so indebted to Scream that there's no way this would exist either. So I don't know. I don't necessarily find the mystery of this movie very interesting. I don't find this cast as charming as Scream's. It's, I guess, an okay summer vibe movie, but again, it's just nothing that I'm super in love with and isn't a franchise that I care for too much. I feel very comfortable putting it here at the bottom of the list for now, I think. Let's do Independence Day. Now, this is a movie that I have seen, but it was a long time ago, and I didn't love it. I'll put it above Top Gun, I think. I've been meaning to rewatch it because I do think there's some cool special effects in here, and I imagine Will Smith is pretty charming, but again, this was never my favorite thing. I saw this back in middle school, I think, and I would say that I enjoyed it, but have never felt really the need to return to it or think much about it. I've never seen the sequel or anything like that, but there's some cool practical stuff here, and I think this movie's just generally just kind of all right. I feel comfortable putting it here at the bottom. I will say that so far there's nothing that I really hate. Like I don't hate I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's just not really like the most exciting thing ever, and it just kind of feels a little derivative of 90s horror. But again, I don't dislike any of these movies, so that is something to keep in mind. Now, Jaws, we're gonna do Jaws next. Jaws is going to the top of the list. I think this is one of the most perfect movies ever, for me at least. I watch this most 4th of July's. Like, this has kind of become a tradition to throw this movie on. Like, I don't know, I think I started doing that a few years ago and have just kind of kept it going. I don't know, this is just kind of one that I think means more to me than most of these movies, just for that reason, too. Aside from the fact that it's just really great. I do just love this, and I think this is one of the more nihilistic movies when it comes to the 4th of July, maybe outside of I Know What You Did Last Summer. This is a movie that's definitely about, like, how people in power are using this holiday to, keep the beaches open and putting people in danger and, the sort of corruption of it all. So I do like that, and I do appreciate that more than just like a fun hangout movie like Sandlot or Top Gun to some extent. So I feel very comfortable putting Jaws up here at the top. It's just one of my all-time favorite movies. So as it is for I think for a lot of people, we'll do Hidden Figures. Now I've seen Hidden Figures once. I think in a film class I took in high school. I I like Hidden Figures. It's nothing too great, but it does what it needs to do. And I just think this movie's cast is like extremely charming, and I like everyone in it a lot. I think everyone is doing a very good job here, but this is kind of the most Oscar-y feeling movie outside of maybe Saving Private Ryan, which I have down here. Again, I don't know, not something that I've ever been super in love with or anything. It's a fun movie though. I enjoy it, but again, it's just not, it sort of doesn't have like a rewatch value that the rest of these have for me. I've decided to move Top Gun down. It's just not one that I find, I guess, as charming as Hidden Figures, which is probably a hot take, but this is my list. We're gonna do Blowout. Now, Blowout is like my favorite movie of all time. This might go above Jaws. I think I'm gonna put it here though. Blowout is Brian De Palma's 1981 film starring John Travolta about a sound guy who uncovers a crime. And I think of these, this is probably the least seen. This is the most obscure one, I would say, of this list. I really love this movie's nihilism. I love like everything about this movie, but in terms of its 4th of July stuff, it kind of ends and climaxes around this holiday, around like some sort of celebration related to America. And I don't know, it's just one of the more fascinating things to come out of De Palma's career, and I love the way that it looks at America and entertainment and corruption and all that stuff. I just think it's a very smart movie, and it's also an incredibly well made and well performed movie. So it's going up here at the top. I adore Blowout to death, so it's going up here. Saving Private Ryan. It's gonna go right here. This is not like an all-time favorite Spielberg movie for me. I don't think I would put it in my top 5, but it is very good. I've only seen it once, but there's been a lot of specific scenes and moments in this that I've had to study while in film school. There are moments of this that I like know pretty well and have kind of picked apart. Specifically, like all the battle sequences were something I had to like look at and study for sound design and blocking and stuff like that. I don't know, but I think this movie's pretty great. Not an all-time favorite, like I said, but something that is, I think, very well made and kind of does show like a little bit of a shift in what Spielberg can do, at least in my opinion. I don't know. I'm a little, I've got some blind spots when it comes to Spielberg's 80s, so maybe there's some stuff that I'm missing here, but this to me feels very novel and a little different for him, but at the same time still kind of having that Spielberg charm and feeling, to like magical feeling that Spielberg movies generally have. I think captures a very specific moment in popular film going. So Saving Private Ryan definitely deserves to be up here at the top. All right, that's my list. I feel bad putting Top Gun here at the bottom. I do like Top Gun, and I kind of like I Know What You Did Last Summer, but that is what I have. So I guess let me know what you think. What are your favorite 4th of July movies? And let me know that I'm wrong for putting Top Gun this low and Blowout this high, I guess. I don't know. Thanks for stopping by. This is kind of a quick off-the-cuff video that thought I'd just throw together before the 4th of July weekend comes around. We'll be back soon with our, I think, mid-year kind of recap and best of the year so far stuff. So feel free to follow us here on Spotify, Apple Music, subscribe to us here on YouTube, and have a good rest of your day. Thanks for stopping by.